Hello everyone, this is Remlace from 40k Theories, and welcome to the January 2022 edition of the Patreon Q&A sessions. As always, if you would like your questions answered, then click the link in the video description below and help support the channel by becoming a patron. Now, let's jump into the questions. Voice of the Emperor asks, would using Black Ice be a viable option against Orc Speed Freaks? This would depend entirely upon whether or not Speed Freaks actually perform any modifications to their vehicles in order to allow them to drive in icy conditions. Like, orcs that are native to icy worlds, for example, I imagine that their vehicles would have things like studded tyres, or hell, even just using things like war tracks on a regular basis for better grip and stuff like that. So it's really dependent upon the situation, but considering that Speed Freaks are known for regularly customizing their vehicles, and considering that they'll want to drive fast, on icy conditions, if they're on an icy planet, or in an icy environment in general, then I would imagine that they would perform the necessary modifications to allow them to do so, so I can't really see it affecting them that badly, in all honesty. Griffin of Might asks, Happy New Year! Well, Happy New Year to you too! What would happen if an extremely loyal chapter whose service to the Imperium was filled with renown was found to be from traitor stock? I imagine it would be the following. The Inquisition would demand an immediate genetic purity test of their gene seed in order to test for, genetic impurities and genetic heresy and stuff like that, and if the chapter's gene seed is found to be within acceptable purity parameters, their records will simply be deleted from public knowledge and kept under lock and key, where only members of the Inquisition, High Lords of Terror, etc. will have access to them. That's what I imagine would happen anyway. What are some loyalist chapters that you want to see get new lore on or get their own books? Mainly I'd like to get a novel based on the White Panthers, if only for the fact that the White Panthers have an awesome colour scheme. Aside from them, do you know what, I think we could do with a full POV book based on either the Lamenters or the Mantis Warriors. I think a Mantis Warrior novel could be quite interesting in all fairness. Or hell, even a Minotaur novel, but they get quite a lot of lore as it is, especially with their recent appearance in these second Watchers of the Throne books, so... But yeah, if I had to pick one, I'd go for White Panthers purely because there's like bugger all on them and I like their colour scheme. What video games are you excited for in 2022? Well, I would say Space Marine 2, but I don't have a PS5 and I don't have a laptop that can run anything better than Dawn of War, so that's probably off the table for me. Aside from that, probably Shooter's Blood and Teeth. That does look quite fun, it's like, orky metal slugs, so what's not to love? Samurai of the Emperor asks, did you have a nice Christmas? As nice as I could, being ill and being unable to do much, but thank you for asking anyway, it's appreciated. Vral asks, are you aware of any active Hive fleets currently in the 40k setting following the return of Guilliman? There's quite a few actually, Leviathan, Tiamat, Kronos, and probably a few others besides. What are your thoughts on the possibility of Trazyn the Infinite helping the Imperium by joining forces in order to fight the Tyranids? Unlikely, to be honest, considering that, in regards to the fall of Cadia, the only reason why Trazyn got involved is because the disturbances emanating from the Eye of Terror were actually causing disturbances to his museum and destroying a crap ton of his collection. So unless an approaching Hive fleet can do the same thing, I don't think Trazyn's gonna bother. It's like, he might turn up just to get, some specimens for his museum, but I don't really see him helping, to be honest. Do you think the Orcs or Tyranids will win the ongoing Octarius War? Well, from what I recall in the Second Wars and Octarius book, the Nids won. Yeah, there's some scattered Orc warbands still fighting along with Imperial forces and the odd Chaos warband here and there, but all in all, the Nids won the war. So where they go from here is the real question. Warrior of Virtue asks, do you think it might be possible to restore Kain by merging all of his avatars together? Theoretically it could be possible, considering that each avatar is a shard of Kain, but you have to take into account that some shards have been permanently lost. Like some craft worlds, when the fall happened, were dragged into the warp itself. Like Altansarv was briefly, so... And there's also, shards that may have been permanently destroyed or corrupted. Like the one on Zaya-Suthra with the Patriarch of Kain, the avatar of Kain that was corrupted by Genestealer Patriarch. It's a long story. So, theoretically, it's possible. In practice, however, probably not. Chief Surgeon asks, is a Genestealer Patriarch grown from the original Genestealer that started the infection? Yes, that's correct. While the exact process is unknown, it's pretty much insinuated that the original Genestealer that started the infection and started the cult will at some point undergo a period of metamorphosis to transform it into a Patriarch. Zero Hits asks, of the Traitor Legions, who do you think needs new lore and character exploration the most? In the current 40k setting, honestly, I'd go for the Emperor's Children, because there aren't too many books where the Emperor's Children are the antagonists in current 40k setting. Like, I can only think of one off the top of my head, and that's Castellan. Now, I know we have the Fabius Bile novels, but Fabius Bile is so far removed from the rest of the Emperor's Children in terms of ideology and, psychology and all that, that he's basically just Emperor's Children in name only at this point, compared to the rest of the Legion. Because I don't know of any other books, aside from Lucius's novel, but that's, a character book about Lucius, so it doesn't really count. But I can't really think of any books where, they're the antagonists or even the protagonists. Because we have a novel series about the Night Lords, we have one about the Word Bearers, we have an ongoing one about the Black Legion, we have several novels featuring the Iron Warriors. I think they've actually gotten the most spotlight of all the Traitor Legions. We have some regarding the Death Guard. We have plenty regarding the Death Guard with them as the antagonists, like the Dark Imperium series, for example. Alpha Legion have got their own books as well. World Eaters, there's a couple of them as antagonists, but only like one car novel, so yeah, probably the World Eaters in two. So Emperor's Children and World Eaters could probably do a bit more love, in the book department. And finally, Austin Horner asks, spoilers for Twice Dead King Ruin, the main character of Ultix on multiple occasions comes in direct physical contact with Necron Flayed Ones without contracting the Flayer Curse. Is it possible that the Flayer Curse requires some sort of trigger in order to actually infect a host? It's entirely possible. We did see in that book that there were individuals in various stages of infection, like some were just barely infected, like they were pretty much normal except for just having, a craving for meat, but they were otherwise indistinguishable from Necrons. Like, there was the Razor of Set, for instance. This is actually in stark contrast to how the Flayer Curse was depicted in Devourer, where infection was pretty much instantaneous. So it could just be due to various factors like, say, natural immunity, for example, or different, stages of infection, or how concentrated the Flayer Curse actually is in some areas, I suppose. There's a whole bunch of possible factors involved. I mean, it's even possible that Ultix himself is, just immune, like how some people are just, naturally immune to some diseases. So it could be a similar situation there. It's one of those questions that, you bring up a potential answer and it just raises more questions, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, it's entirely possible, no doubt. And that concludes this edition of the Patreon Q&A sessions. As always, if you would like your questions answered, then click the link in the video description below and help support the channel by becoming a patron. Until next time, this has been Remlace from 40k Theories, and we'll see you again soon. Bye bye!